Castle of Black Iron. By Drunken Tiger. Chapter 301, An Idea on Making Money. At sunset, the wind blew heavily while waves surged. The sea waves near the pearl field were over 3 m high. Having stayed in the sea for the whole day, Zhang Tai popped his head out of the sea and moved along the undulating sea waves. Raising his head, Zhang Tai realized the weather today was a bit unusual as the sea waves were like walls in all directions that even blocked his view. After undulating with sea waves twice, Zhang Tai came to the peak of sea wave and could finally see clearly the situation of the castle in the far. A tangerine safe lamp had been highly suspended at the top of the castle. After seeing that lamp, Zhang Tai leisurely dove into the coming sea wave and slowly swam towards the castle, leaving a splash behind. Although it was not tranquil 30 m underwater, it was already able to be described as calm compared to that above sea. After a short while, Zhang Tai had already sensed an underwater current. He then immediately dove into that underwater current and was carried along by it. After increasing his sensitivity 9 times over, Zhang Tai had gradually grasped this underwater skill, which could help him easily sense the underwater currents in the surrounding sea and the general directions of them. Additionally, after entering the underwater current, he could effortlessly utilize the propulsive force of the underwater currents. After entering the underwater current, Zhang Tai felt really cool. It was like flying in the sky like a bird. With this skill, Zhang Tai could touch a splendid corner of this limitless, vast world. There were numerous underwater currents in the sea, which had various causes, such as temperature, moisture and density in the sea, tide, season, submarine relief, weather above sea, geological movements, self-rotation of galaxy and the changing moon phase. There were all sizes of underwater currents in the sea. Bigger ones might form ocean currents which could last several 100,000 miles. There were also numerous smaller underwater currents, some of which were tributary of bigger underwater currents while the others would form and disappear at any time. Those underwater currents of different sizes granted the sea with more tears and mystique and constituted this splendid and mystical submarine world. Zhang Tai felt those underwater currents in the sea were like wind on the land. It was like dashing in the wind. Although being in the sea, Zhang Tai, who was wandering in the underwater current, felt as if he was a wolf running on the new crescent prairie. After being sent to the place not far from the castle by this underwater current, Zhang Tai swiftly swam out of it and dove into the underground entrance of the castle after a short while. With a sound of splash, after slightly patting the water, Zhang Tai had already jumped onto the bank of the pond. When he landed, he found Senior Chen, Zhu Wenqiang and the other buddies were all there. They had already put on their clothes. At the sight of Zhang Tai, they glanced at him at the same time with shimmering eyes. "Oh, you've not left." Zhang Tai took off his diving clothes as he walked towards the water pipe to clean the muck off his body. As sea water had a high content of salt. If he didn't wash off the sea water, the salt particles would stick to his skin. Additionally, the sea water near the bottom was fishy, therefore, they had to take a bath before leaving every day. Not until Zhang Tai finished bathing, washed his diving clothes, and suspend them on the line did Zhang Tai realize that all the others were still gazing at him with an obscure and weird expression. Senior Chen rubbed his beard using one hand without even blinking. Although having exposed his naked but many times in front of them, at the sight of their weird expression, Zhang Tai still felt his asshole being tightened as a layer of goosebumps appeared on his skin all over. Zhang Tai then put on his clothes at the fastest speed ever and said, "Arg, won't you leave?" "I will leave then." "Wait a moment." Senior Chen started the topic. "What's up? Can you bring me more of your brew tomorrow?" Senior Chen said. "The more, the better," Yang Yuankong added. Zhang Tai swiftly thought it through in his mind twice before replied, "As there are only a small amount left, if you want, I can make more, but it will take longer." "Were you waiting for me just for this?" "That's it," Senior Chen said as he rubbed his knees with a bashful expression. "I don't know why, but after drinking the thing you brought this morning, my rheumatism has been much better. Soon after I drink it, the ache on my knees has disappeared. I feel pretty comfortable all day long. Therefore, I was hoping you could bring me more tomorrow." We felt strange too. After drinking that thing, we were much more energetic than before in the daytime and don't feel very hungry, even now. Zhang Lin added with a dubious expression. I thought only I felt this way, however, I would never have imagined that everyone else is also in a much better condition than before. Zhu Wenqiang said. Yang Yuankong also nodded. Zhang Tai was shocked by their words and sighed. Because he had improved very fast these days and had eaten a great amount of wild wolf 7-strength fruits before, he was always exceptionally energetic. Therefore, although he felt good these days, he didn't think too much about it. It was really out of his imagination that Senior Chen, Yang Yuankong, and the other guys could feel that good after eating the mutated yeast for the first time. Receiving no reply, Senior Chen thought Zhang Tai might be considering the cost. Zhang Tai, I don't know whether that thing is expensive or not. If it's too much for you, I will pay you for 1 bottle. After drinking that thing, Senior Chen felt so cool like a dried land finally welcoming sweet dew. He was too impressed by that thing. It felt much better than taking medicine. Therefore, Senior Chen even wanted to buy some. Senior Chen had spent too much trying to deal with his rheumatism over many years. Senior Chen, what are you talking about? How could I take your money? Go get a bottle, I will bring 1 bottle for you. Zhang Tai waved his hand as he said generously. Senior Chen instantly revealed a big smile as the wrinkles on his swarthy face unfolded. Fine, I will go get a bottle. After saying this, Senior Chen immediately went upstairs for bottle. Zhang Tai, what the hell is that drink? Zhu Wenqiang asked out of curiosity. They are brewed with various fruits in a secret method. Zhang Tai knew that it was the effect of the essential energy Reiki yeast. That brewing process was not sophisticated and had a low cost. Anyone could master it if they were told how. However, if he told Zhu Wenqiang that that was yeast solution, they might try to brew it themselves. If they didn't get the same effect, they would definitely blame him for lying to them on purpose. Therefore, he thought that he'd better tell them this was a secret knowledge so that they would know that it was easy to make it. This would save a lot of troubles for him in the future. No matter what, essential energy Reiki yeast was almost like a secret knowledge, neither did Zhang Tai plan to share it with the others. Hearing Zhang Tai's words, Zhu Wenqiang didn't look strange, instead, they all looked like they'd been expecting it. Because it was a secret knowledge, the other guys then felt embarrassed about asking for the brewing process. As usual, after leaving the Long-Wind Pearl field, Zhang Tai had arrived at the fish market near the wharf and spent less than 10 silver coins to buy all the sand-scale fish in the fish market and set them free in the sea. In the recent months, Zhang Tai almost came here every day. As a result, all the fish vendors had become familiar with him. Additionally, as Zhang Tai was generous and didn't bargain, many vendors would like to keep the sand-scale fish for Zhang Tai every day. When Zhang Tai threw the last barrel of sand-scale fish into the sea and watched them returning to the sea jubilantly, Zhang Tai had formed an indescribable pleasure inside. Previously, he set the fish free to eat fruits, now it had gradually become an enjoyment for Zhang Tai to set free fish. This was an incomparable enjoyment. Each time, Zhang Tai could clearly feel the fish's cheers of freedom, pleasure of rebirth and affection towards life and the sea when they returned to the sea. Being affected by such a feeling, Zhang Tai felt that each time he set free fish, he was setting free a part of himself in a weird sense. Some small sand-scale fish didn't escape away at once when they returned to the sea. Instead, they formed a circle and kept rotating, seemingly expressing their gratitude to Zhang Tai, which really amazed him. Woo! I never could have imagined these small things could circle in the sea. A voice drifted in his ear from a side. Zhang Tai then turned his head and found that an old man had already been squatting beside him. The old man seemed like a beggar who was shabbily dressed, with disordered hair, and a beard on a dirty face from which Zhang Tai could not even identify his real age. Brat, why these fish are circling in the sea? The old beggar fixed his eyes on Zhang Tai and asked seriously. Hearing this question, Zhang Tai became stunned as he didn't know how to answer him. After thinking for a while, Zhang Tai replied, they might be happy about going back home soon. Going back home? Hearing Zhang Tai's explanation, the old beggar's bright eyes became watery. Going back home, going back home, going back home, where's my home? Arg, why don't I have a home? Fish have a home, why don't I have a home? How could I not even match? Where's my home? I couldn't remember my home, arg. The old beggar started to shriek painfully while hugging his head. After that, he stood up and turned back before ran away like a mad. There might be something wrong with this old beggar's mind. What a poor man. Zhang Tai shook his head as he went back to the fish market to give the barrel to the vendor. After leaving the wharf, Zhang Tai didn't return to the Hidden Dragon Palace. Instead, he wandered towards the White Dragon Town. When he arrived at the White Dragon Town, it had been completely dark. Compared to the other towns around the Dragon Cave, White Dragon Town looked more boisterous as about half of the people on the island lived here. Zhang Tai had not imagined that his solution could be noticed by others today. Now that it happened, he needed to deal with the aftermath. As he lived in Songtao Pavilion, a Breaking Heaven department, he could not hide too many things in his room. If they went to see his solution in his room, he could not move them out of nothing. If so, the secret of Castle of Black Iron would expose sooner or later. As a thoughtful man, of course Zhang Tai would notice and patch up the loophole. Now that he brewed the solution himself, he should at least pretend to have done that. No matter what, as he had been in the Hidden Dragon Palace for so long, nobody would know when he brewed a vat of solution. After taking a round in the White Dragon Town, Zhang Tai already had a plan. He went to the carpenter's shop in the White Dragon Town and bought a portable wooden case at the price of 2 silver coins before bought a tranche which could contain 20 to 30 kilograms of solution in a porcelain store at the price of over 10 copper coins. Then, he came to a remote place and put the tranche into the wooden case before returned to the Hidden Dragon Palace with that wooden case. It seemed easier for him to put the tranche into the Castle of Black Iron. However, Zhang Tai didn't want to expose his real ability in a place full of powerhouses. Therefore, he needed to pay special attention to all details. What if it was seen by someone else when he made the tranche disappear? As details determined success or failure, it was not bad to be a bit careful. It was also reasonable if he put the tranche into the wooden case. Even if it was noticed by people from Hidden Dragon Palace, they would not see through the wooden case either. When Zhang Tai was going to leave the White Dragon Town, the roadside gate was suddenly opened while a person was carried and thrown out by some strong servants. "Pa, you jerk beggar, this is the Zhao Mansion in White Dragon Town. It is not your home. Don't come here to seek for your relatives. I've seen so many liars like you. Our Lord would never have such a relative. Roll out of here." A steward pointed at that man being thrown out and swore him. After that, the steward glared at those servants. "What were you doing just now? Are you blind? You didn't even know when this jerk beggar came in." This jerk said Zhao Mansion was his home and swaggered into the west bedroom before being noticed by a servant girl. "Half of your salary this month will be deducted." The servants became so depressed. After the steward entered the mansion, 2 servants were so furious that they directly rushed towards that old beggar who was lying on the ground and wanted to beat him again before being hurriedly stopped by the other 2 servants. "Easy, this old beggar is already so thin. If he was beaten to death by you outside the gate, it would be unfortunate and troublesome. Damn, we've been here for a whole day, yet we didn't see how he entered." A servant kept swearing and finally stopped beating that old beggar. "I've told you before that the dog door over there is too big, we need to make it smaller." The servants then walked into the gate before shutting it, making a loud sound, bang. Leaving that old beggar sitting alone on the street before the gate of Zhao Mansion. He looked so painful that he pulled his hair and mumbled, "Where's my home? Isn't my home Zhao Mansion? How could my family members disappear, arg?" Zhang Tai saw what happened in front of his eyes. He had not imagined that he could meet that old beggar here. Seeing that old beggar sitting on the street alone, being mad, not knowing where his home was, Zhang Tai felt like crying inside as he walked towards him and pulled out his money purse and gave them to the old man. They were 2 gold coins, dozens of silver coins and over 10 copper coins in total. At the beginning, Zhang Tai wanted to pull out a part of the spare money. However, seeing his poor air, Zhang Tai directly squatted in front of that old beggar and put his money purse onto the old beggar's hand. Even though the old beggar was holding the money purse, he was still unconscious as he mumbled there. Watching that old beggar, Zhang Tai directly foisted his money purse into his pocket. After doing this, Zhang Tai stood up as he sighed inside. With another 2 glances at him, Zhang Tai returned to the Hidden Dragon Palace. After returning to the Shin number 7 room of Hidden Dragon Palace, Zhang Tai opened the wooden case and took out of the tranche. He washed the tranche with water before he lugged it into the cultivation room. While focusing on his concentration, Zhang Tai soon filled the 2/3 of the tranche through a spring in the air in more than 10 seconds. After smelling the refreshing fragrance in the new tranche, Zhang Tai patted his hands as he covered the lid of the tranche. Now he could explain it to his friends that the solution in the tranche was brewed himself since he came to the Hidden Dragon Palace. He had drunk 1/3 and left 2/3 inside. After filling the flagon of Senior Chen and his own kettle, Zhang Tai fixed his eyes onto the liquid while a thought suddenly flashed across his mind. Could I make money with this? If I can make money with this, I would not have to worry about living in the Hidden Dragon Palace from then on. Perhaps, I can have a try. Coincidentally, Senior Chen and the other guys could test its effect. Chapter 302, Storm. Since midnight, it had been raining heavily. The wind whipped through the pine woods outside the Songtao Pavilion, making a horrible sound. The following morning, Zhang Tai got up early. After walking out of the Songtao Pavilion, he found the wind and rain was even heavier than it had been yesterday. The bean-sized raindrops that landed on him were quite painful. Some pine trees in the Breaking Heaven department were broken while most of them were bent over by heavy wind and fiercely resisting the strong storm. He had seen the omen of this storm last night, however, Zhang Tai had not imagined it could be that heavy. After eating breakfast, Zhang Tai put on a raincoat and quickly arrived at the long-wind pearl field. The waves on the pearl field looked extremely fierce. When the huge waves, greater than 10 m in height, lashed onto the reefs and the precipice on the seaside, they caused loud sounds. The whole world seemed to be shaking from the fury of the sea. Arriving at the seaside, Zhang Tai felt that he was almost blown away by the heavy storm like a kite. The sprays caused by the huge waves under the castle of the long-wind pearl field drifted dozens of meters high in the air and fell onto Zhang Tai's face. The rain tasted weirdly fishy. The moment he entered the castle, Zhang Tai saw Senior Chen. "Come on in, it's raining heavily outside." Standing outside the door of a room on the first floor of the castle, Senior Chen waved his hand towards Zhang Tai. Zhang Tai then hurriedly walked towards him. When Zhang Tai was near the door, Senior Chen glanced over Zhang Tai. Zhang Tai then patted a place under the raincoat as he nodded towards Senior Chen. Senior Chen then revealed a big smile as he pulled Zhang Tai in. The moment they entered the room, the other guys in the room instantly cast their glances at Zhang Tai. Zhang Tai was also familiar with the other guys as they were all yikshaws in the Sea of Long-Wind Pearl Field. The youngest one among them was over 40 years old while the eldest one was over 60. These old buddies are suffering the same trouble as me. They are all troubled by rheumatism and arthritis at such an age. Especially yikshaws in the sea like me, as we have to stay in the water all the year round. Once the cold chi enters our body, we'll have to suffer from diseases when it becomes wet outside. These buddies have not slept well last night. Senior Chen explained to Zhang Tai. These senior buddies heard that the solution you brew was marvelous. They are especially eager to give it a try. No problem. Zhang Tai nodded, but I've not taken too much today. Besides the bottle for you, I've only got one additional bottle. No problem, I will share my bottle with buddies and see whether it truly has an effect. Senior Chen generously said. After hanging up his raincoat, Zhang Tai took out his kettle and the flagon. Senior Chen then found several cups and made 100 milliliters of that solution for each one according to the content that he drank yesterday. Zhang Tai's aluminum military kettle was just enough for 5 people's cups. When he poured it out, all the others in the room had surrounded him. Watching the golden and pale green luster of the solution which had a stronger smell than water, they all widened their eyes. Arg, how could it smell so good? Not only the luster which made them excited, when they smelt the fragrance of that solution, they instantly felt cool all over and dripping saliva out of their mouths. The moment Senior Chen filled the cups, the others had carefully taken the cups and couldn't wait to bottom up the solution. After that, they sat quietly in the room and tried to sense the feeling of that solution spreading across their body. They all took this thing as a medicine, however, it tasted much better than all the other medicines that they had tried. Therefore, they were all shocked about it. Senior Chen also had a cup. After that, Senior Chen even cleaned his cup with fresh water before drinking the fresh water. The wind and waves are too heavy today. They can't pick pearls today, so we can have a day off. When they were waiting for the effect of the solution, Senior Chen told Zhang Tai. What about my clan contribution points today? Zhang Tai asked out of curiosity. Of course, you'll still earn them. Zhang Tai finally let out a sigh. As long as he stayed here for several more weeks, he would be able to get enough clan contribution points for all the compulsory courses that he needed to learn. Each compulsory course required 70 clan contribution points. Fundamental movements, fundamental swordsmanship, shield defense skill, preliminary archery, flying skill, and horsemanship. The 6 courses required 420 clan contribution points in total. As he could gain 60 clan contribution points a week here, he planned to work 2 months, namely 9 weeks here for 540 clan contribution points so as to finish these fundamental compulsory courses. Zhang Tai had not forgotten those weird movements of Zhang Qinghua. Zhang Lin, Zhu Wenqiang and Yang Yuankong also arrived at this moment. When they caught sight of that empty kettle, they became a bit disappointed. However, looking at the others who were waiting for the effect of the solution, they became curious too. Yesterday, as only Senior Chen drank that solution, it was uncertain whether it was the effect of the solution that relieved Senior Chen's disease. However, this time, the other 5 people drank the solution. If the effect reappeared on them, it would be great. As it was storming heavily outside, they had nothing to do inside. They then started to brag and chat in the room to kill time. 1 hour soon passed. Arg, I feel warm inside. It starts to spread across my body. A yiksha in the sea shouted. I feel it too. It was aching just now. But it's relieving now. Arg, me too. Before drinking that, my 2 shoulders felt being pinched by pliers. But now they are becoming relaxed. My knees are also recovering. That's too marvelous, just like what Senior Chen said. The room started to be boisterous as the yikshas all cast their glances towards the flagon of Senior Chen. Zhu Wenqiang, Zhang Lin, and Yang Yuankong then stared at Zhang Tai with shocked expressions. It turned out Zhang Tai's solution could really relieve diseases, it was even pretty effective. If they had not seen it with their own eyes, they would never have believed it. How could a small cup of solution relieve the diseases that they had suffered many years? What the hell? The same thing could cure diseases for someone and make the others feel energetic. How could it be that marvelous? Zhu Wenqiang, Zhang Lin, and Yang Yuankong looked at Zhang Tai in a new light. Senior Chen, come on, give me some more. A 50-year-old yiksha urged with a bashful expression. Hearing his request, Senior Chen instantly pulled his flagon back in fear of being stolen. No more, most of Zhang Tai's solution has been drunk by all of you, this is mine. After exchanging glances with each other, the yikshas then focused their eyes onto Zhang Tai. Zhang Tai then stretched out his hands, I only brought this today. Do you have more? I have some more in my room, but not too much. Can you sell some to us? That yiksha previously wanted Zhang Tai to gift some to them, yet he felt bashful to ask for that for free, therefore, he expressed his intention to buy it. Haha, I've met these old buddies many times. Don't talk about money, it would harm our friendship. Each of you can fetch a bottle, I will gift a bottle to each of you. Having not expected that his solution had such a great potential in the market by being that effective in curing diseases, Zhang Tai became really thrilled inside. After working as an assistant in Donder's grocery store, Zhang Tai knew what public praise meant. He needed them to advertise for his solution, therefore, he became generous. Zhang Tai, can you? Zhu Wenqiang scratched his head with a bashful expression. Hee, I live in the Xian number 7 room of Songtao Pavilion. When I come back, you can take your bottles and go to find me there. I will gift 1 bottle to each of you 3 too. Zhang said generously. Zhu Wenqiang, Zhang Lin and Yang Yuankong all revealed a big smile. Zhang Tai's solution really deeply impressed them. Right then, the girls from Zhixing department arrived. Previously, Zhang Tai arrived earlier than them and stayed in the sea all day round, therefore, these girls had no chance to see him in the pearl field at all. They didn't know that Zhang Tai was a yiksha in the sea either. Today, when they came to the pearl field, the girls were told that they might face danger if they dove in the sea today due to the heavy storm. Therefore, they didn't need to pick up pearls today. They then planned to take a rest in the castle and take shelter from rain before returning. They had not expected to encounter Zhang Tai here. After having not seen Zhang Tai for 2 months, the girls were even slightly shocked at the sight of Zhang Tai. With a bad temper, the moment Du Yuhan caught sight of Zhang Tai's smile, she instantly raised her eyebrows and asked straightforwardly, "What are you here for?" Hee, I'm here to have a look at you. It's almost been 2 months, the interest of the debt that you owe me almost becomes 18 gold coins. Plus the cost, each of you owe me almost 108 gold coins. I want to see when you will pay up. Zhang Tai made a grimace as he started a joke with those girls. The moment they heard the debt, those girls all looked bitter. The 108 gold coins was simply a huge amount of money for those girls who had only just started to attempt to make money for themselves. Additionally, the interest of these huge amount of money will rise 10% per month. Many of them could not even pay off the interest per month. We will pay off the debt. Lu Shasha replied in a fragile voice. It's okay if you cannot pay off the debt. As long as you can accomplish the designated tasks, you can also deduct half of your debt. Zhang Tai moved his evil eyes onto Lu Shasha. The moment she recalled the disgusting task that should be accomplished by mouth, Lu Shasha's face suddenly turned pale. She didn't even dare to look at Zhang Tai, instead, she looked like a flurried rabbit who hurriedly hid behind another girl. Not until this moment did those girls who had bet with Zhang Tai know what it meant by lifting a stone and dropping it onto one's feet. At the beginning, they forced Zhang Tai to sign the agreement with them as they thought they could deal with this jerk in this way. However, they had never expected that they were dealt with by this douchebag. After teasing these little girls, Zhang Tai burst out laughter as he returned to the room where Senior Chen and the other buddies stayed. As yikshas in the sea, if they wanted to gain the clan contribution points, even though they didn't need to dive in the sea, they had to stay in the castle on duty in case of emergencies. Those girls seemed having not realized why Zhang Tai acted that way in the castle of the Long-Wind Pearl Field. After 10 minutes, while Zhang Tai was cracking melon seeds in the room and listening to funny stories of the other yikshas, a girl rushed in with a panicked, pale face. Du Yuhan was rolled away by the waves. Hearing the words, Zhang Tai instantly sprung up and dashed outside like a wind. Chapter 303, Yiksha on the Waves. Facing the wuthering wind and rain, Zhang Tai immediately rushed out of the room, exited the castle and swiftly arrived at the pearl field. Looking at the fierce waves, some girls were hugging each other on a mountainous path beside the pearl field. They were shivering while tears were covering their faces. In front of the power of the sea, some girl's impulsion caused an unexpected result. Where's she? Although it was a short distance, Zhang Tai was covered in rain. With tears in her eyes, Liu Shasha pointed at the reef in afar where the waves were most fierce. Zhang Tai then rushed towards where she pointed without any pause. He didn't even take off his clothes. Before those girls responded, he had already jumped into the sea from the reef. The moment Zhang Tai jumped in, a huge wave had arrived, which caused a spray of a few dozen meters high near the reef. When the spray declined, Zhang Tai had disappeared. The decisive image of Zhang Tai deeply impressed those girls, which will forever remain in the hearts of the girls for the rest of their lives. Senior Chen and the other yikshas in the sea also followed closely. Where's Zhang Tai? Senior Chen changed his face as Zhang Tai was nowhere to be found. Zhang Tai jumped in. A girl pointed at that reef from where Zhang Tai jumped into the sea. Senior Chen, take these girls back. We'll take a look in the sea. A yiksha of the pearl field told Senior Chen at once. When Senior Chen brought the girls back, a girl suddenly pointed at the sea. Arg, Zhang Tai. They then looked along the direction the girl pointed and caught sight of Zhang Tai. At this very moment, Zhang Tai was really like a yiksha on the waves in the legend, as he was stepping on the huge waves of over 10 meters in height. He jumped from one wave peak to another. Sometimes, he would sink in, sometimes, he would fly onto a wave peak in order to see clearly. He continued to jump and strive bravely in huge waves. The heaven-breaking waves were like rolling ladder under Zhang Tai's feet. Zhang Tai stepped on the wave peaks as steadily as rushing on smooth land like a spirit in the sea, causing snow-white sprays. Watching Zhang Tai risked his life to seek for Du Yuhan, Liu Shasha and the other girls all felt a burning heat and started to burst into tears. Senior Chen and the other yikshas were really stunned about what they saw. Yiksha on the waves. Each step is so elegant, it's really yiksha on the waves. A yiksha in the sea of the pearl field had forgotten what to do, while he was watching Zhang Tai, who was jumping among the huge waves in afar. Yiksha on the waves, water doesn't reach knees. It's true. Senior Chen was also shocked. In the legend of that the elders told in the pearl field, only those yikshas in the sea who had been favored by the sea god could perform such a marvelous skill in the sea. The sea with surging and rolling waves was like a shallow small ditch under Zhang Tai's feet. Before the seawater reached his knees, he would have already stridden 1 foot out. He kept running among the surging waves. Zhang Tai's image at this moment was definitely a rare painting for the other yikshas in the sea who were going to jump into the sea. Wait for Zhang Tai to come back. A yiksha took a deep breath. No matter what, Zhang Tai would get her out of there. He didn't mean to give up, but the reverence and belief to a yiksha on the waves from a yiksha in the sea who had been working in the sea for many years. At this very moment, Zhang Tai didn't know how amazing he was. He only felt a constantly rolling strength from the seawater. He felt that he was able to move freely on the sea with that strength. Therefore, he did it automatically. Among the surging waves in afar, there seemed to be a hand stretched out of the sea. Although it was just a second, Zhang Tai still caught it with his eyes. Zhang Tai then jumped off the wave and dived into the sea. The moment he opened his space tunnel, he started to shoot towards there like a bolt. That was truly Du Yuhan. She had been wrapped by long seaweeds along with the huge waves. She was dragged underwater by seawater and was in half coma. After he arrived, Zhang Tai instantly hugged Du Yuhan and kissed her while transferring air into her mouth from the castle of black iron. After that, he tore off the seaweeds that surrounded Du Yuhan. Zhang Tai hugged Du Yuhan with one hand as he transferred air to her, mouth to mouth. Then, he rapidly dived towards the bay of the pearl field. After a short while, his presence was seen on the huge waves near the bay. Arg, Zhang Tai is back. After they saw Zhang Tai's shadow and the person he was carrying, everybody let out a sigh. When they ran to the bay to check the situation of Du Yuhan, they were all dumbfounded. All the girls' faces blushed while Senior Chen and the other yeshas revealed obscure smirks. Du Yuhan was like an octopus, her arms wrapped tightly around Zhang Tai's neck, while her legs naturally wrapped around Zhang Tai's waist. Besides, she forcefully sucked onto Zhang Tai's mouth, as if there was delicious food in his mouth. This was just a natural response of a drowning person, as if she grabbed a floating stick of straw to take in fresh air. Being unconscious, Du Yuhan didn't even know what she was doing. As Zhang Tai's mouth and tongue were tightly sucked by Du Yuhan, he could not speak. Therefore, he could only tell the other girls to quickly move Du Yuhan away from him. As she was sucking so forcefully, Zhang Tai even felt a pain on the root of his tongue. Yuhan, Yuhan. Liu Shasha and a girl called Chu Liangying walked over. One forcefully patted her back, while the other separated Du Yuhan's arms from Zhang Tai's neck. For those girls, Zhang Tai and Du Yuhan's posture were so embarrassing. Because Du Yuhan could pick up pearls in the sea, she excelled in diving in the sea. When Zhang Tai found her, she became breathless and fainted. After Zhang Tai passed on some air to her several times and being patted and called by the other girls, she finally woke up. After she woke up, Du Yuhan saw Zhang Tai at her first sight, who also had his eyes fixed on her. Their eyelashes could almost touch each other's. Because they were too close to each other, Du Yuhan could not recognize the person who was in front of her. Meanwhile, she realized that she was still kissing this person while a soft thing was in her mouth, which she was forcefully sucking greedily and didn't feel like separating with. Soon after, Du Yuhan noticed their ambiguous gesture as she was wrapping his neck with her arms and riding his waist. Being greatly shocked, Du Yuhan made a shrill shriek as she immediately jumped off Zhang Tai's body. Because she was too nervous, she even bit Zhang Tai's tongue before she left. Closely followed by Zhang Tai's shrill shriek, who then sprung up from the ground. *T. A manager of the pearl field was blaming the girls whose clothes had been dried around fire and were standing there, being upset. Zhang Tai was here for your debt. Then you little girls wanted to pick up pearls in this weather so as to make money instead of apologizing to him? Who told you Zhang Tai was here for your debt? He told us. A girl justified softly. Zhang Tai is a yiksha in the sea of the long wind pearl field. In the past month, he had been here every day so as to drive away the dangerous living beings underwater. When you were picking up pearls, he was vigilant in the outer sea area for your safety. Each day he was here 1 hour earlier than all of you and left after you. The manager then let out a sign as he looked at those girls from Zhixing department. Normally, you could not see him, but due to the heavy storm today, you were unable to pick up pearls, therefore, he was here for a rest in the castle. Coincidentally, you encountered him here. If he wanted you to pay off the debt, he had long asked for that. No need to wait until today. Arg. All the girls of Zhixing department covered their mouths with their hands as they exchanged glances with each other. They had not imagined that the person that they hated most could have protected them for such a long time in the dark. If it was not for Zhang Tai today, you might have been dead. Girls, don't be that impulsive in the future. The manager told Du Yuhan in a serious way. Du Yuhan had a mixed mood. The moment she thought back of how she kissed Zhang Tai after being saved out of there by him, Du Yuhan felt feverish on her face as she had a strange feeling towards Zhang Tai. Humph, that bastard. How could I have given him my first kiss? They said that the bastard instantly jumped into the huge waves after knowing that I was drowned. Even Shasha and the other girls were too moved that they even cried. The girl wanted to blame him yet she didn't really wanted to. Did I overly bit him? I wonder whether if he is still hurting. Chapter 304, Fighters Training. The storm lasted 2 weeks. 6 days after Zhang Tai saved Du Yuhan, he finally accomplished the first round of advancement of his ancestral bloodline, precise throwing, after 2 months' practice. He accomplished this round of advancement perfectly. When Zhang Tai used a finger-sized javelin to lock onto wild wolves precisely which were over 100 m away, Zhang Tai knew that he had accomplished his advancement. From then on, he didn't have to depend on javelins or the size of the weapon. As long as he locked onto the target, Zhang Tai would accomplish the precise throw. After that, Zhang Tai was so excited that he even tried throwing shells, stones, snails, knives, and long swords. The fact was that no matter what the item was, as long as they were held by Zhang Tai and was thrown out with a terrifying strength, they would exert a huge destructive force. Anything, once reaching a certain speed, would bring a huge destructive force. With Zhang Tai's great strength, those items could fly very fast. In order to achieve explosiveness, Zhang Tai even tried to accomplish throwing training in the sea. In the same 2 weeks, the situation on the East continent varied fast. More news about the discovery of demons on Hurricane Plateau came into Hidden Dragon Palace. In the task hall of Breaking Heaven Department, the Hidden Dragon Palace had officially released the clan training task about hunting demons on the Hurricane Plateau. Everybody who was above LV6 could attend this clan training task. The only requirement was that everybody who attended this task should at least have passed all the compulsory courses for fighters. This task would proceed by batches. Each batch lasted 3 months. Each batch was available for 50 students in the Breaking Heaven Department. This task shocked the Breaking Heaven Department. Zhang Tai's cousin Zhang Su applied to attend the first batch of training. One day, Zhang Su and the other 49 people took an airship sent by the Zhang clan and left from the hidden Dragon Island for the Hurricane Plateau which neighbored Golan Empire. Most of the first batch of trainees were above LV7. It was said that 1/3 of them were from the Hidden Dragon Fighting Force list. By killing each demon, the fighter would gain 100 clan contribution points as a payment. This made many people drip off saliva. However, from the award, everybody knew that this task was very risky. Fighting demons wasn't funny at all. The reason that demons were terrifying was that all the demons would be equal to LV6 human fighters when they became adult without having to cultivate themselves. That was why people could not be called fighters until they reach LV6. This standard was set to fight common, mature demons. Those people who could not reach LV6 could only be called warriors. This ability of demons was really terrifying. In contrast, the good news for human beings was that all the demons had to devour the other demons in order to accomplish their rite of passage. That was a genetic plunder. The bad news was that demons could also accomplish their rite of passage through devouring human beings. This explained why human beings were demons' implacable foe. Because all human beings were their supper and dim sum. Not all the demons in the demon troops were adults, however, the lowest level of those demons who were about to be adults were already LV5 warriors. With the arrival of the Holy War, more and more demons would accomplish their rite of passage on the battlefield. What made the demon corps terrifying was that each corps of demons would grow more powerful through battles. In the later period of the early two holy wars between human beings and demons, all the remained corps of demons were terrifying killing machines being composed of adult demons. These killing machines brought huge destruction to human world. Finally, what enabled human beings to survive the two earlier holy wars between human beings and demons was not human beings' fighting force but their excellent reproductive ability. Such a task was nothing to do with Zhang Tai at all, at least for the time being. Therefore, Zhang Tai could only diligently lay a solid foundation on the hidden Dragon Island. Only a few days after the storm, Zhang Tai had already left the Pearl Field and ended his task as a yiksha in the sea. This task lasted 9 weeks, which brought Zhang Tai 540 clan contribution points. With these clan contribution points, Zhang Tai could finally attend the training of compulsory courses for official fighters. There were 6 compulsory courses for fighters in the Breaking Heaven department, namely Fundamental Movements, Fundamental Swordsmanship, Shield Defense Skill, Preliminary Archery, Flying Skill, and Horsemanship. Because of lacking foundation, Zhang Tai really lacked the training of these fundamental skills at the present. Actually, Zhang Tai was an emulative guy. Although those girls of Breaking Heaven department wanted to find him trouble when he attended the training of Fundamental Movements and Shield Defense Skill, Zhang Tai still chose the 2 courses firstly. 2 days after paying 140 clan contribution points, Zhang Tai arrived at the training field for Fundamental Movements and saw the women who were sneering at him. It was more like a huge steam-driven machine than a training field. What was in front of his eyes were hydraulic metal columns which were rising and falling while being driven by steam in the training field of thousands of square meters. Many people were jumping on the hydraulic metal columns and dodging from the high-pressure water flow shooting towards them from all directions. Those being hit by the water cannon would drop off the columns with a shrill shriek and fell into the pond below. Right here? Zhang Tai pointed at those rising and falling hydraulic metal columns as he asked those women who were sneering at him. That would be too nice for you. That training field is for testing your fundamental movements. Its length is 100 m. Only when you could run through that passage without being wet could you pass the test for fundamental movements. You don't even know what is fundamental movements. Do you want to attend the test? No crap. I know you want to deal with me. Just do it, I'm waiting for that. With arms crossed, Zhang Tai said. As he was here, he didn't believe that they could mistreat him. Well, come with us. Zhang Tai then followed them into a room dozens of meters long. One of the women manipulated some switches and handles on the wall. Soon after that, 6 hydraulic metal columns that were the same as those outside rose up from the ground. They didn't stop until they reached about 4 m in the air. The area of the top of each hydraulic metal column was only as large as the mouth of a bowl, which could only hold a foot. The moment the columns reached at the highest points, those women then exchanged glances with each other. "Ruame, you first or me?" "I'll go first." Saying this, one woman walked to the foot of a hydraulic metal column. She then easily jumped onto the top of the 4m high column and stably stood there with only 1 foot, like a rooster which usually stood with 1 foot. At the same time, she looked at Zhang Tai proudly. Even though Zhang Tai didn't have a good impression of the woman, he still applauded at her performance. "It's your turn." "What for?" Zhang Tai became a bit puzzled. "This is the first step for fundamental movements, quincuncial piles. You can only use your feet on the piles, instead of using your battle chi. When you could stand on the piles for 2 minutes and successfully dodged from Ruame's kicks, you will pass the first step." "I'm not allowed to kick her? Wouldn't I suffer a loss then?" "If you are that talented, you can also try to kick here. As long as you could kick her down from the quincuncial piles, you would pass this step, too," a girl said arrogantly. "Okay." Zhang Tai then walked to the foot of the piles and took a deep breath before jumped onto the top of a pile with the help of feet and hands. If that woman called Ruame was regarded as a swallow, Zhang Tai was just a bear who only knew how to use his strength stupidly. Zhang Tai then stood on the top of a pile with 1 foot. When he looked around, he started to sway. Realizing that he could not imitate that woman, Zhang Tai immediately landed his another foot on the top of another pile. After swaying twice more, he finally stood fast. During this process, that woman who was standing on the top of one pile kept sneering over there. After Zhang Tai stood fast, she finally opened her mouth. "Are you ready?" "Ready." The moment Zhang Tai finished saying "dy," he had felt dizzy as his right leg had been hooked by her foot, causing him lose his balance. As a result, he directly fell off the piles with face towards the sky. Damn it. Thanks to his iron body fruits, Zhang Tai picked himself up and jumped onto the piles once again. This time, Zhang Tai became smarter. The moment the woman intended to hook his leg, he had hurriedly moved away that foot. However, before he moved the other leg away, that woman had directly kicked onto his butt and directly sent him fly off the pile. This time, Zhang Tai became more embarrassed. At the sight of Zhang Tai's embarrassing look, all the women revealed their sneers but hurriedly hid them. When Zhang Tai tried for the 3rd time, he chose to launch an attack preemptively. However, before he touched the woman's clothes, he had been kicked off. In the next 2 hours, the other women fiercely mistreated him in turn. During this process, Zhang Tai gradually realized the secret of using quincuncial piles to train fundamental movements. This was actually a pure match problem. When one stood on one pile, if one wanted to move, one would have 5 different movements. With 6 piles, one would be familiar with 30 movements in all directions and distances. After you turned the movements on the top of quincuncial piles into instinct, when you fought others on the land, you would have too much space to dodge. Zhang Tai understood this secret at the price of falling onto the ground heavily with a bloody nose and a swollen face. Later on, you should train yourself every day. We could only guide you 2 hours a day. Our guidance today has ended, we will continue tomorrow. After saying this, the women left. After staying in the room for a while, Zhang Tai had become familiar with those switches. He then found the columns had been lifted to the highest points, however, their lowest positions were only 50 centimeters above the ground. This was the price for offending women. F***ck. Chapter 305, Fermenting. After 2 days' thorough practice, Zhang Tai had gradually adapted to the movements on top of the fine quincuncial piles that was 4m in height. He then became increasingly flexible and could stand longer on them. From the 3rd day onwards, it had been harder for those women to kick Zhang Tai off the piles. Additionally, as he practiced movements on the quincuncial piles, Zhang Tai gradually combined the 5 basic movements of Iron Blood Fist, which were used to coordinate the 36 free hand movements into the movements on quincuncial piles. He was not accustomed to that at the beginning, as he previously practiced it on the ground. Yet he had to practice on the quincuncial piles now. If he were to step on the place several inches away from the right place, he would lose his balance. However, Zhang Tai gradually became familiar with the 5 basic movements of Iron Blood Fist on the quincuncial piles. Zhang Tai didn't know that the 5 basic movements of Iron Blood Fist on the quincuncial piles were the orthodox secret knowledge of Iron Blood Fist. Actually, except for the imperial households of Norman Empire, only a few people knew about this cultivation method. What Zhang Tai did instantly fixed the only shortage of his Iron Blood Fist. Compared to his embarrassing state when he started to learn the fundamental movements, Zhang Tai excelled in learning the shield defense skills. That was a sharp difference. Before he started to learn shield defense skills, Zhang Tai only knew that shields were used for defense and collision. After learning it, Zhang Tai only then knew that the 3-worded skill of shield use were defense, attack and hide. Defense referred to defense, block and protection, attack referred to collision, to move forward and to break the opponent's attacking rhythm, hide referred to the shielding of one's attacking intention during the process of the attack and defense. Attack, defense, and hide coexisted with each other. They could convert into one another and coordinate with each other for the sake of the application. After learning shield defense skills systematically, Zhang Tai showed an extremely high talent when he used shield for the first time. The women's alleged guidance towards Zhang Tai were to attack Zhang Tai with storm-like attacks with a short javelin, the head of which was covered with a cloth ball. During this period, Zhang Tai could only defend himself with a shield. He was purely there to be beaten. Those women wanted to give him a good lesson, however, it was out of their imagination that Zhang Tai, with a shield in hand, totally changed. Besides the attack at the beginning which made Zhang Tai grit his teeth, towards the end, Zhang Tai resembled an oily iron tortoise that could never be hurt. It was the same even though they had changed into other weapons to attack Zhang Tai, as the shield in Zhang Tai's hand was a movable armor for him. No matter how they attacked Zhang Tai, they would be held back by his shield. Finally, as they could not punish Zhang Tai when he practiced shield defense skills, those women directly gave up their guidance to Zhang Tai on shield defense skills. Instead, they gave him guidance on the course of fundamental movements. Zhang Tai remembered a sentence told by Donder: peaches and plums do not speak, yet there was a path under them. 1. No matter how, you could not lift one's morality by praising him. Similarly, you could not ruin one's morality by slander and gossip. Time was the realest eyes, as it could expose one's real personality. Only those whose real personality could stand the test of time could gain others' respect, as they would definitely be more charming than those only with language talent. Zhang Tai felt that he was in that situation. He never thought that he had high morality, however, at least, he knew that he was not bad, as he had never done any bad things like benefited while others were harmed and dropped righteousness or been lecherous at the sight of beauties. He would always respect them kind people, he would always sympathize the underprivileged ones, he would never bully timid guys. This was what his mom had taught him since he was very young. Zhang Tai always kept it in mind. As Zhang Tai spent more time with those women, they started to change their attitudes towards him even though Zhang Tai didn't urge for it. They started to realize that Zhang Tai was greatly different from the one described in gossip. Zhang Tai was not as mean, shameless and lecherous as that in the gossip. Instead, they could even find many good personalities of Zhang Tai. Zhang Tai was very strong-willed. No matter how many times he was kicked off from the piles, he said nothing before he jumped back once again. Zhang Tai was very generous. Although he would joke around with them, he would never argue about little things. Even though he suffered some bruises, he just gave a big laughter and never placed it in mind because Zhang Tai didn't have evil thoughts when he looked at others. After several days, they finally lost their vigilance towards him. Speaking of being lecherous, he was only flirting with them. In daily contacts, those women found that Zhang Tai paid special respect to girls. Even on the piles, he wouldn't attack them excessively as he just narrowed the attacking range on their thighs and below their knees. Especially after hearing that Zhang Tai had saved a girl's life at the risk of his own life when he was a yiksha in the sea and didn't expect for any payment, those women who educated Zhang Tai on the piles had gradually changed their attitude towards him. Therefore, gradually those women started to call Zhang Tai junior brother. When they stood on the piles together with Zhang Tai, they were no longer finding ways to kick him off, instead, they taught him more. Compared to the three-worded skill of the use of the shield, the three-worded skill of the use of fundamental movements was fast, accurate and fierce. Fast referred to high speed, accurate referred to precise judgment while fierce referred to great strength. After reaching the three basic requirements, he had to meet the further requirements, landing on the piles as steadily as a nail being pounded into the wood by an iron hammer, moving as fast as a bolt leaving the string which was as heavy as thousand June, too, and as light as a goose feather. During the days when Zhang Tai were practicing the fundamental movements and shield defense skills, the effect of the solution gradually spread. Each man had his own circle of friend, including Yiksha's in the sea, Senior Chen in the Pearl Field, Zhu Wenqiang, Yang Yuan Kong and Zhang Lin from Breaking Heaven Department. After gifting a bottle of that special solution to each of them, its effect started to spread amongst those guys' friend circles. More and more people would like to try his solution. Within a short period of time, most of the dozens of kg of special solution taken out of the castle of black iron had been taken away by Zhang Tai's friends and his friends' friends. On May 18, 890 of black iron calendar, it was definitely a memorial day for Zhang Tai. In the morning, it was no different from the other days. After getting up early, Zhang Tai spent 1 hour to read the last chapters of the thick book, General History of Human Beings. After breakfast, he started his monotonous and hard learning and practiced about the compulsory courses for fighters. Accepting the suggestion of those senior sisters, Zhang Tai included preliminary archery and the fundamental swordsmanship into his daily exercise in the previous 2 days. Now, Zhang Tai needed to practice 4 courses, instead of 2. Now, Zhang Tai could only rest less than 5 hours a day. He used to leave his residence at 6 a.m. and came back at 1 to 2 a.m. in the midnight when he was tired. Zhang Tai felt that he had completely changed himself into a machine since he came to the Hidden Dragon Palace. When he was in the Zhixing department, he was a set of machine for picking navy blue iron ores. When he was in the Breaking Heaven department, in order to make clan contribution points, he became a diving machine. After making enough clan contribution points to apply for compulsory courses, Zhang Tai became other machines. When he was learning the fundamental movements, Zhang Tai became a machine that jumped here and there on the quincuncial piles. When he was learning the shield defense skills, Zhang Tai became a machine which was beaten with a shield. When he learned preliminary archery, Zhang Tai became a machine that had to shoot an arrow. When he learned fundamental swordsmanship, Zhang Tai became a machine that constantly practiced picking, chopping, stabbing, hacking and cutting. Besides, he was also a machine which only knew how to sleep, eat and shit. He had been in the Hidden Dragon Island for over half a year. Besides monotonous training and tasks, he didn't do anything else. Compared to such a lifestyle, his survival training in the Wild Wolf Valley was as sweet as lovers who were having a holiday. Even when he was in the Iron Blood camp, Zhang Tai didn't live that hard. Zhang Tai knew that he had no other choice. Although he could live a more relaxed life, facing the sense of crisis brought by the Third Holy War between human beings and demons constantly drove Zhang Tai to run forward while he gritted his teeth. He didn't even dare to slightly loosen up. It was a good day. Before he entered the training field for fundamental movements, Zhang Tai raised his head and looked up at the azure sky. The azure sky reminded Zhang Tai of that sapphire ring he gifted Alice. The moment Zhang Tai thought about Alice, he remembered his friends in the Black Hot City. How are they now? Zhang Tai mumbled as he shook his head to drive all the thoughts out of his mind. He then pushed open the gate of the training field. Zhang Tai didn't know that he was going to be rich in this common day. When Zhang Tai entered the training field for fundamental movements, at the entrance of the Dragon Cave, Yang Yuan Kong and some of Zhang Tai's friends in Breaking Heaven department had just ended their tasks as Yiksha's in the sea and were checking their equipment. They were ready to enter the underground world to hunt the LV7 centipede. Like bezoar in ox, stone of gallbladder, kidney and bladder in dogs, pearls and seashells, there were also some precious items in the magical beasts and the mutated living beings. People could find magical cores from very few centipedes. Centipede's magical core was a treasure which was mainly used to form battle chi and increase the power of battle chi. In the latest months, the purchasing price of Centipede's magical core quoted in the Breaking Heaven department had already reached 1,200 gold coins, which was almost 2 times more compared to last year's. In order to make money, Yang Yuan Kong and some friends decided to enter the underground world to make money at the risk of their lives. We'd better check our own equipments and medicaments one more time in case of the worst scenario. What was most important was that we should make sure that we've taken LV1 antidote. As the leader of the team, before going down, Yang Yuan Kong reminded the others. Don't worry. We've taken them all. But the price of antidote had risen again. Now, each vial of antidote would cost us 5 gold coins and 60 silver coins, while each vial of night viewing medicament had risen to 40 silver coins. Damned. If we cannot obtain a centipede's magical core, we would suffer a loss this time. A person said gloomily. Zhang Feng, the antidote will be used in saving your life. Once you were hit by the venom of the centipede, if you don't drink the antidote, you would lose your life in a couple of minutes. Although it's expensive, it could never match your life. I was just complaining about it. Those alchemists are really good at making money. Many vials of antidote would be sold on the hidden Dragon Island. Compared to them, we are so stupid. We have to risk our lives to make a bit of money. You only see the thief eating meat, you've not seen them being beaten. Each of the alchemists who could make antidotes on the Hidden Dragon Craftsmanship list and the Hidden Dragon Wealth list had experienced many hardships. Who were born to be able to produce antidotes. Even though antidotes could bring them money, they could not be easily produced. Yang Yuan Kong spoke to Zhang Feng with a smile. That man called Zhang Feng then gave back a smile as he recalled something. He then patted on the medicament container on his waist. Yuan Kong, whether this solution distributed by you is as marvelous as you told us? Trust me, when we have no weapons and rations, if we drink that solution, we could definitely last longer. Yang Yuan Kong replied with confidence. This was discovered by Yang Yuan Kong, Zhu Wenxiang and Zhang Lin after they concluded their experiences from several occasions. Zhang Tie's solution seemed very nutritious. After 100 milliliters of that solution was drank, one could remain energetic for another 10 hours. For hunting centipede's magical cores, Yang Yuan Kong shared some of the solution which was gifted by Zhang Tai with the others. Each team member possessed 1 vial of the solution for emergency uses. In Yang Yuan Kong's opinion, Zhang Tai could definitely sell his solution. After the confirmation, everybody dripped some night viewing medicament into their eyes. After that, under the leadership of Yang Yuan Kong, the team of 6 entered the Dragon Cave. Soon after Yang Yuan Kong and his hunting team entered the Dragon Cave, the manager of the Long Wind Pearl Field started to suffer from a stomachache again. The manager was called Zhang Heng, who was an elder of Long Wind Business Group under the affiliation of Huayuan Palace. He had served Long Wind Business Group for dozens of years. Recently he hadn't been as healthy as before because of his age, however, he couldn't stand being lonely, therefore, it was arranged for him to work as a manager of the Pearl Field on Hidden Dragon Island. Because there was little work to do in the Pearl Field, it was an easy job for him. Actually, it was almost like having a vacation. In the early morning, soon after he got up, Manager Zhang suffered his stomachache once again. He had been troubled with gastric ulcers for many years. Besides paying special attention to his diet, he had also tried many acupuncture therapies and medicine which were all very limited in effect. Even while he suffered from that scorching pain which extended like a wildfire in his stomach, Manager Zhang still wanted to make a patrol around the Pearl Field. In contrast, the Yikshaws in the sea near the Pearl Field looked so energetic these days. Even though they had not been assigned with the task, they still went in the sea in the early morning to guide the young men to practice diving skills. This made Manager Zhang Tai reassured. Soon after making an inspection tour, Manager Zhang returned to the office. He then covered his mouth with a handkerchief and started to cough heavily. However, this time, he tasted blood in his mouth. After coughing, he looked at his handkerchief and was shocked by the red color mixed in with the mucus. Is it really that severe? Gazing at the blood on his handkerchief, Manager Zhang forced a bitter smile. The doctor had told him that if his gastric ulcer became severe, he would suffer a complication of spitting blood, which indicated that his blood vessels had been influenced. When this truly happened, it would be dangerous. Heavy coughing, hemoptysis, plus increasingly scorching pain made Manager Zhang weak for quite a while. Sitting on the chair in his office a bit tiredly, Manager Zhang touched his upper abdomen and gasped for quite a while before relieved it a bit. Hearing Manager Zhang's heavy coughs, Senior Chen ran into his office. "Manager Zhang, are you okay? How about calling a doctor for you from White Dragon Town?" Senior Chen also knew that Manager Zhang had suffered this illness for many years. However, hearing him coughing especially heavily today and seeing his forehead turn blue while the veins on his forehead almost pop out, Senior Chen started to concern about him. It's okay, Senior Chen. No need to trouble you. I know my disease very much." Saying this, Manager Zhang silently put away his handkerchief. "You've been here for many years. After this year, I prepare to recommend you to the superior officer and let you take over my seat, as I might not be able to stay longer on this position." Hearing this, Senior Chen hurriedly wove his hand, face turned blushed. "Manager Zhang, I don't mean that. Senior Chen, listen to me. We've been working for several years. I know your personality very much. I've worked for so many years. In the past, I could not stand being alone. Now, I'm old and am not after fame and wealth anymore. Therefore, I want to have a good rest at home and accompany my grandsons. As you've been very familiar with the affairs in the Pearl Field, it would be most proper for you to take over my position after I leave." Saying this, Manager Zhang looked at Senior Chen. These days, Senior Chen looked very energetic. His face looked better one day after another. Compared to Manager Zhang, Senior Chen at least could work 10 more years in the Pearl Field according to his current condition. "Manager Zhang, I think you've not got the proper prescription. Take me and some old buddies in the Pearl Field as an example. After working in the sea for half of our lives, we were always tortured by rheumatism and arthritis and felt that we could not stand any longer. But, now, as we've met the most proper prescription, we become fully energetic once again." Manager Zhang heard the news that Senior Chen and some yikshaws in the sea had greatly recovered from rheumatism and arthritis that they had been suffering for so many years. He didn't pay more attention to this news. In his opinion, this was because they were just fortunate enough. Hearing that they drank a special solution brewed by a young yikshaw in the Pearl Field called Zhang Tai using a secret knowledge, Manager Zhang then took this as an eccentric medicament. Besides feeling lucky for them and praising Zhang Tai's talent, Manager Zhang didn't think too much about that. For the words that the solution could make one's more energetic and feel not tired, Manager Zhang thought that was a bit exaggerating. For him who had seen so many things, it was actually not difficult to reach the same effect. After drinking a bowl of ginseng braised with chicken soup, he could almost realize the same effect. Is that solution given by Zhang Tai truly that good? Hearing Senior Chen mention that thing once again, Manager Zhang then casually asked. "It's not good, it's marvelous. Since drinking that thing, I and the other old buddies didn't suffer from arthritis anymore. What's more, we all feel healthier these days, like having become several years younger." The moment he mentioned the solution gifted by Zhang Tai, Senior Chen had become spirited. Because the solution was too effective, Senior Chen and his other old buddies asked for some more from him and carefully hid it. These days, they would only drink a small mouth of that solution every day as they all felt recovering vitality. You're lucky enough to meet the right prescription. Manager Zhang, that thing could not only cure our diseases. Senior Wei told me that yesterday his grandson got a fever and caught a cold. He kept crying. As the boiled decoction of the medicinal ingredients tasted too bitter, his grandson didn't eat it. As a result, the whole family became so anxious, just like ants on the hot pot, including Senior Wei. Guess what? What? Being curious about Senior Chen's words, Manager Zhang kept asking. Since realizing the marvelous effect of the thing given by Zhang Tai, Senior Wei bought a beautiful and delicate silver kettle and put them inside the kettle. In usual time, he would take the kettle with him like treating a treasure. Yesterday, his grandson cried because of catching a cold. Senior Wei then teased him with that silver kettle. However, he had not imagined that the moment his grandson smelt the flavor of the solution from the mouth of the kettle, he desperately wanted to eat what was inside. Senior Wei then opened it and let his grandson drink several mouthfuls. The result was that soon after drinking that, his grandson had become calm. In 1 hour, his grandson's cold and fever had relieved and finally was cured. It also works on fever? Hearing this news, Manager Zhang became dumbfounded for a while. This folk's prescription seemed to have too many effects. It didn't seem possible. But he believed that Senior Chen wouldn't tell a lie. Because there were only several hundred people in the pearl field. As long as something happened, it would soon be spread among the rest. That's why we say it's marvelous. Senior Chen revealed a big smile. Senior Wei even told me that he wanted some more from Zhang Tai for his grandson. Hearing Senior Wei's daughter-in-law mentioning about it, some households in the pearl field even wanted to ask for some solution from Zhang Tai for their own kids. After chatting with Manager Zhang for a while, Senior Chen left Manager Zhang's office. Sitting in his office alone, Manager Zhang considered about Senior Chen's words as he faintly shook his head. Perhaps, it was just a coincidence. If that solution was really that effective, it could definitely be sold like the medicament produced by alchemists. After Senior Chen left, Manager Zhang still felt a scorching stomachache. The wildfire-like scorching pain was gradually enlarging. After standing it for some more minutes, Senior Zhang's forehead oozed fine sweat drops. Senior Chen's praise and favor about the strange solution kept ringing in Manager Zhang's ears. Manager Zhang then pulled open a drawer under his desk. There was also a glass bottle in the drawer, which was containing the solution which was mentioned by Senior Chen. This was what Zhang Tai gifted the manager before he left the pearl field. It was just a common glass. When Zhang Tai gifted it here, Manager Zhang just felt that Zhang Tai was sensible. Because he regarded it as a folk prescription for curing rheumatism and arithmetic, he just put it into a drawer. At this time, Manager Zhang took out of the bottle. The color of the solution inside the bottle looked very energetic as the golden color was mixed with a faint green color. Remembering that Senior Chen said it smelt very good, even kids wanted to eat it. Being driven by curiosity, Manager Zhang opened the lid of the bottle and smelt it carefully. He smelt a strange and refreshing flavor. Only after smelling several times, Manager Zhang had started to drool. Having lost appetite from early morning until the present due to the intense pain, Manager Zhang suddenly felt hungry and wanting to eat something. After taking a careful look at the solution, Manager Zhang couldn't stand to have a sip like drinking alcohol. It tasted really good. He then took another sip. In only half a minute, Manager Zhang had felt a wisp of cold and comfortable sense from his stomach which was suffering from a scorching ache. In a short while, that fire in his stomach had been dying out. Woo! At the beginning, Manager Zhang thought it was an illusion. After sensing it seriously, he realized it was true. He then took another big mouth of that solution before rested in the chair with his eyes closed. 10 minutes later, Manager Zhang became so excited that he directly stood up with his eyes shimmering brightly. Fixing his eyes on that bottle of solution, when he wanted to take another mouthful and had another look at it, Manager Zhang found his hand was shivering. Chapter 307, Fortune Day 2. The underground world was as vast as the sea. Even though one had reached 5 to 6 kilometers away from the mouth of the dragon cave, it only equaled to coming to the beach, still a distance away from the real sea. When Manager Zhang carefully asked those who had used Zhang Tai's solution in his office about the effect of the solution, the centipede hunting team, led by Yang Yuan Kong, had already delved into Dragon Cave and arrived in an underground space where huge centipedes were always seen. The underground karst where most of the hellblack spiders gathered was more than 3,000 m away from the entrance of Dragon Cave. However, huge centipedes lived in a darker place. Only when they reached 5000-6000 mobile away from the entrance could they see huge centipedes. In the ecological system of the underground world, huge centipedes had a very wide range of food. All the rotten animals, the corpses of magical beasts, those mutated underground snails and huge flies that liked to wander among the various underground fungi and plants were the food of huge centipedes. Sometimes, if huge centipedes were too hungry, they could even engulf the hellblack spiders. Compared to hellblack spiders, centipedes were much larger. Most of them were longer than 10 m. Additionally, centipedes moved more swiftly. Those centipedes hiding in the seams could charge at you at any time and cause a fatal harm on you. What made people more worried were that huge centipedes' shells were much stronger than that of the hellblack spiders. They were much more difficult to pierce. This was an underground creature with a very powerful vitality. Even if they were broken into halves, they could still stay alive for 1 week before death. Most people who ventured into the living area of centipedes were there to attempt advancement to level 7. Compared to the difficulty of forming battle chi at level 6, when they reached level 7, the formed battle chi would be like dried straws. As long as they absorb a ball of soul fire, it would lead to a new battle totem. All the members of the huge centipede hunting team were level 7 fighters. Each of them had been here many times. Soon after they entered the underground living area of centipedes, they had met their first prey. For level 7 fighters, it wasn't too hard to deal with a centipede. Through cooperation, it only took them several minutes to kill the centipede. After that, a fighter used a huge axe and opened the hardest head. Although no magical core was found, they didn't become disappointed, as it would be too lucky for them if they could find a magical core from the first huge centipede. Before coming down, they already prepared to gain nothing. Many people from Breaking Heaven's department were here to hunt for huge centipedes' magical cores every day. However, above 98% of them might not see one huge centipede's magical core for 1 week's work, as the possibility for huge centipedes to produce magical cores was less than 1/1000. Because there was no magical core inside it, they only took its fist-sized venom container. At least they could sell it for some money. There were some business groups purchasing venom containers of huge centipedes at the price of 2 silver coins each. They could be made into medicines, including poison and medicament that could cure venom, relieve inflammation, and sores. The huge centipede's shell could also be made into a special glue. However, as it was cheap and was difficult to deal with, besides special personnel who were dispatched here from business groups above to clean up and collect these things, the other people would feel reluctant to deal with such cumbersome things. Let's go for the second target. We're in a persistent war, watch out everyone. After receiving no gains, Yang Yuankong called others to continue walking forward. Fortunately, 7 hours later, after they killed the 34th huge centipede in a narrow crack and opened its head, they finally found one magical core. It was a grape-sized bead which radiated a faint red light in the dark underground cave. At the sight of this bead, everybody was amazed, as they hadn't imagined that they could gain one so easily today. However, dangers always came when people let their guards down. When they were excited about their achievement, another huge centipede suddenly drilled out and charged towards them by springing up its body from 10 m away. 2 huge centipedes lived in this crack, not one. Watch out! Yang Yuankong was the first one who responded, as he immediately shouted loudly and jumped up. At the same time, he broke out his battle chi once again. In a split second, a great amount of fine venom was sprouted out of the huge centipede's mouth and was covering towards them like suddenly sprayed raindrops. Although they all responded quickly, facing such an undifferentiated attack, 3 people of the team were still sprayed by the venom. After dozens of seconds, the second huge centipede was also killed in the most violent way by them. However, those guys who were splashed by the venom also started feeling its effects. The venom of huge centipede was known for its extremely strong permeability and slight corrosivity. Once sprayed, it would be no different from being bitten by the huge centipede, as its venom would permeate into your blood through your skin as soon as possible. Arg, I might have been splashed by its venom. So was I. Hurry up, check up yourself. As long as you find being splashed by its venom, drink your antidote as soon as possible. Yang Yuankong raised his voice. Only after 1 minute, Zhang Feng had already felt his pulse and heart racing. Additionally, he started to feel disgusting and a bit dizzy. At the same time, his tongue gradually became stiff and numb. F*ck. Zhang Feng swore as he touched his neck when he felt the location on his neck, which was close to the left side of his jaw, was a bit hot, just like having been burnt by some drops of hot water. As people's neck was very close to one's heart and brain, therefore, the venom of huge centipede would act on one's neck faster than other places. Zhang Feng became a bit hurried as he opened his medicament capsule and pulled out of a vial of antidote. After opening its lid, he instantly engulfed it, making a sound of gulp gulp. In less than 1 minute after he drank it, he had already felt better. The disgusting feeling gradually disappeared. Then, his tongue also recovered flexibility, he became more conscious, what was more, his pulse and heartbeat also recovered. Wait, this antidote doesn't feel good. After recovering his sense of taste, Zhang Feng sucked his lip as he felt it tasted not the same as those before. Is everybody okay? Okay, F*ck, but I wouldn't have imagined that there were 2 huge centipedes in the crack. If we didn't find the magical core, we've already suffered a loss now. If not for that magical core, we might not have been that easily attacked by that by **h. The members started to discuss. Feng, are you alright? Seeing Zhang Feng staying still over there after drinking the antidote, Yang Yuankang walked towards him as he started to worry about him. He then patted Zhang Feng's shoulder and asked. The other guys who noticed Zhang Feng's situation also walked towards him. Some of them instantly noticed those red points on his neck where had been splashed by the venom. Thinking that Zhang Feng had been poisoned, Yang Yuankang hurriedly grabbed his hand as he touched Zhang Feng's pulse. However, he found Zhang Feng's pulse was steady, no signal of being poisoned at all. Everybody then noticed Zhang Feng's extremely weird expression. What's wrong? Yang Yuankang asked out of curiosity. Head, is that solution you gave me is able to help people recover vitality? Zhang Feng asked Yang Yuankang in a curious expression. That thing is very effective to rheumatism and arithmetic. Some people who had tried it all said it was marvelous. What else? What do you mean? I find that medicament might also be used to detoxify venom. Zhang Feng said in a lowered tone. What? How? Facing the other's dubious eyes, Zhang Feng put his hand into his medicament capsule again and pulled out another vial of medicament. After that, he presented that empty vial. After being poisoned just now, I made a mistake and took the medicament which was given by the head. However, the real antidote is still here. Soon after I drank that medicament, the symptoms of being poisoned had disappeared. Looking at the 2 vials of medicament that were almost the same size, everybody became stunned immediately as it was really out of their imagination. The most shocked one was Yang Yuankang. After being dumbfounded for several seconds, Yang Yuankang made one thing that was out of everybody else's expectation. He directly opened his palm skin using his dagger and squeezed a bit venom out of the huge centipede's venom container onto the wound. After half a minute, he took out of the vial of solution which was given by Zhang Tai and bottomed it up in front of the others. Everybody then fixed their eyes on Yang Yuankang without a wink. Only after 2 minutes, Yang Yuankang had already shown an uncontrolled expression. It truly works. In a split second, Yang Yuankang's head was filled with many thoughts. After thinking for almost 1 minute, Yang Yuankang started to recover his composure. Let's go back to the Breaking Heavens department. Zhang Tai might not know about the true value of that solution that he brewed. As his friend, Yang Yuankang thought he was obligated to tell Zhang Tai that those solutions that he brewed were not only solutions but a real medicament. He should tell Zhang Tai about the true value of the medicament. Yang Yuankang then exchanged glances with the other members who went down the underground cave. From then on, the value of Zhang Tai's solution soon spread in Breaking Heavens department. Chapter 308, Cooperation. When Zhang Tai finished his day's training and went back to his residence, he saw Yang Yuankang waiting for him on the ground floor of the Songtao Pavilion with some other senior brothers from Breaking Heavens department. The moment they saw him, Yang Yuankang hurriedly waved hands towards him while the other guys instantly cast their eyes onto Zhang Tai. Senior Yang, it's been so late, what's up? Zhang Tai revealed a big smile. It was truly very late. As the swordsmanship training gym in the Breaking Heavens department wasn't locked up until 11 p.m., Zhang Tai always returned Songtao Pavilion after the training gym was closed. Therefore, it was almost 12 p.m. Ho ho, I'm here to congratulate you, junior brother Zhang Tai. Yang Yuankong smiled. As they had sold the huge centipede's magical core the moment they returned and each of them had gained a lot from it, they were all very happy, including Yang Yuankong. Congratulate me? Zhang Tai stared at Yang Yuankong in a dubious expression, but why? Junior brother Zhang Tai would enter the Hidden Dragon wealth list very soon. Of course, we're here to congratulate you. Senior brother Yang, you must be kidding me. I truly have some money now, but I won them from the bet with those in the Zhixing department. Even including the debts that have not been cleared up, they are just 2,000 gold coins in total. I even spent a lot. Each of the guys on the Hidden Dragon wealth list have above hundreds of thousands of gold coins. Compared with them, my small amount is nothing. Zhang Tai shook his head. Yang Yuankong smiled before he told Zhang Tai about the effect of that solution given by Zhang Tai that they found in the Dragon Island. After hearing that his solution could detoxify venom very effectively, Zhang Tai was really shocked as he had not imagined that his solution could have that effect. Senior brother Yang, you mean that solution could detoxify venom? You didn't know about that? Zhang Tai tried to recover his composure before he asked, I really didn't know about it. When I first gained the secret knowledge, I knew nothing about its effect except for feeling very comfortable after drinking it. I couldn't have imagined that it could detoxify venom. The effect of your solution could definitely match that of a LV1 antidote. Even if you only sell it at the price of an antidote, you could still gain thousands of gold coins a day. It's just a matter of time before you enter the Hidden Dragon wealth list. Additionally, that solution has other marvelous effects. It could definitely be very useful in the future. We were wondering, how much of it do you still have? Only little of the first batch is left. If senior brother Yang wants it, I can gift you some. Now that we know your solution is very precious, how could we ask for your thing for free? Yang Yuankong's eyes radiated shimmering lights as he continued, we didn't just come here to tell you all this news but in order to negotiate a business deal with you. Business? In an instant, Zhang Tai had almost completely guessed Yang Yuankong's plan. He then smiled as he cast another glance over them, thanks for bringing me such good news, senior brother Yang. As it is almost midnight, it's not proper to talk about that here. Why not talk about it in my room? Yang Yuankong was also smart. Knowing that Zhang Tai had not refused it and even invited them to talk about it in his room, he knew that the business was doomed to succeed. After exchanging glances with the other guys, Yang Yuankong also saw the excitement from all the others' eyes. Therefore, Zhang Tai invited them to enter his Xian number 7 room. After they sat well on the sofa and in the chairs, Yang Yuankong looked solemn. Junior brother, do you know how many antidotes are required on Hidden Dragon Island every day? Zhang Tai shook his head. As the Dragon Cave of Hidden Dragon Island is one of the entrances towards the underground world, there are at least thousands of warriors, fighters, and adventurers deepening into the Dragon Cave to reinforce their battle chi or to seek out treasures every day. They come from all across Jinyun country. They make the Hidden Dragon Island prosperous and many things become very urgent in demand. Are antidotes items that are often in urgent demand? Yes. Yang Yuankong nodded, this antidote is necessary for all the people entering the underground world. It could save one's life. Each people entering the underground world would at least carry 1 vial of this antidote in case of emergency. In this case, they could see at least 500 to 600 vials of antidote on the Hidden Dragon Island every day. They might even sell over 1,000 vials of antidote a day. Zhang Tai nodded as he remembered that Zhang Su, his cousin, also carried some vials of antidote when he took Zhang Tai to form battle chi in the Dragon Cave. Of course, the alleged antidote could not detoxify all the poisons. Take that blue frost that he was poisoned by before as an example. Only a special antidote could detoxify it. There were some lethal poisons that could not be detoxified at all. In this age, antidotes were always universal, which was mainly targeted at detoxifying venoms possessed by various creatures and magical beasts below LV9. They were made of special minerals. Universal antidotes below LV9 could be further divided into 3 levels. Those which could detoxify the venom of creatures below LV7 belonged to LV1 antidote. Those which could detoxify the venom of creatures below LV8 belonged to LV2 antidotes. Those which could detoxify the venom of creatures below LV9 belonged to LV3 antidotes. Although LV1 antidotes are the most common ones, their sales volume and variety of purposes are much greater than other antidotes. They could be used in many places. Not only warriors, fighters, and adventurers are equipped with this medicament, even many common households had them. Because most people are only likely to meet dangerous creatures below LV7. Zhang Tai nodded once again. It was true. Take sea serpents as an example. They were just LV0 living beings before mutation. However, for commoners, it was also very severe if being bitten by them. Among all the dangerous creatures, the amount of creatures below LV7 occupied above 95% of the total amount of these creatures. According to my knowledge, the alchemists on the Hidden Dragon Island can only produce over 200 vials of LV1 antidotes a day. The shortage in demand is transported by business groups of the Zhang clan from outside the island. Now that we already know that your medicament can detoxify venom, we can definitely make a lot using your solution. Yang Yuankong said with a spark in his eyes. What's your plan, Senior Yang? My friends and I have just gained a huge centipede's magical core and sold it for 1,200 gold coins today. We'll prepare to rent a store on the island in order to sell your medicament exclusively. Gradually, Yang Yuankong had changed the name of Zhang Tai's solution into medicament. After testing the detoxifying effect of Zhang Tai's medicament, Yang Yuankong and the others were so confident about it. They'd found a great business opportunity in it. After negotiating for a while, Yang Yuankong and the others decided to make investment using the money they made today. They prepared to make a lot by the relationship with Zhang Tai. Zhang Tai was greatly moved by Yang Yuankong's idea. Speaking of opening a store, Zhang Tai had much more experience than Yang Yuankong and the other guys. After assessing its feasibility, Zhang Tai started to negotiate about the cooperation with them seriously. If they wanted to make money with that solution, they still needed to solve a lot of problems. The first problem is that few of his solution was left, only a bit more than 10 kilograms. It was definitely impossible to enter the market using it. Zhang Tai then directly took that tranche of solution out of his bedroom and put it on the desk in front of him. Junior brother, your stuff is so small now? A senior sister uttered. She didn't feel anything wrong when she said this. However, after saying it, she found the faces of all the guys in the room turned weird at once. Their face all blushed. Then, she realized the ambiguity in his words. Her face blushed soon, too. This thing has become so little. Zhang Tai said with a slightly embarrassed expression. Alas. Yang Yuankong coughed twice as he recovered composure. Junior brother Zhang Tai, how long will it take you to make such medicament? At least 2 months. Can you be faster? I can catalyze a batch of them rapidly, it will take me 2 weeks. It was just Zhang Tai's excuse for catalyzing them. Actually, Zhang Tai prepared to move some of the fermented solution out of the castle of black iron. As long as he made preparations, he would not arouse their doubts. Hearing Zhang Tai's words, Yang Yuankong and the others all looked very thrilled. That's too incredible. If we restrict the sales volume of the rest medicament, we can last 2 weeks with them. We can make it popular first. After this is sold out, new batches will be ready. Zhang Tai nodded. I also mean for it to be like that. If you put the rest into standard vials, you can still make over 100 vials of it. In the next 2 weeks, you can sell it as a trial and check the response of the market. If there's any problems, we can find them in time. If it works well, it could work like hunger marketing. Hearing that, everybody nodded. They then negotiated about the cooperation details before separating. After seeing them off to the ground floor of the Zhang Tie pavilion, Zhang Tai returned to his own room. Staring at that tranche, Zhang Tai still couldn't believe the solution inside could have that marvelous effect. As he had sold rice brew with yeast for over 10 years at home, will he sell yeast again? Zhang Tai felt the marvel of destiny. Meanwhile, he also became thrilled as he seemed to see numerous gold coins flying towards him. Chapter 309, The First Transaction. Since that they had decided to do it, they would do it well. As they were all young men and full of passion, after making up their minds, they all started to move enthusiastically. Early the next morning, Yang Yuankong had already arrived at the Zhang Tai pavilion in the appointed place. He brought 2 crates of new crystal vials into Zhang Tai's room. Yang Yuankong and Zhang Tai then filled all the solution from the tranche into the vials. They got 138 vials of medicament in total. These vials of medicament have no symbols. In the future, we should customize all the vials of medicament. Yang Yuankong said. Where will we customize them? It's available in the Breaking Heavens department. The students who cultivate to be alchemists would customize their personal vials for medicaments after being able to produce them. There are private symbols on their vials. You can call them trademarks. All the private symbols on the vials are trademarks. They are registered in the Alchemists Association and are the only private image text symbols being protected by the Alchemists Association. I'm not an alchemist. How could I register my private symbol on the vials? Zhang Tai asked out of curiosity. You can. All the vials with medicament inside could be registered for exclusively private symbol in the Alchemists Association. Taking an empty crystal vial of medicament, Yang Yuankong pointed at some special designs on it. This crystal vial includes several unique patents from aspects like ingredients and craftsmanship. These patents are exclusively enjoyed by the Alchemists Association. The Alchemists Association monopolizes the production of all the vials and the right to register and authenticate the symbols on the vials. Zhang Tai nodded. He thought if this batch of solution could really sell well, as long as he could produce it on a large scale, he would definitely customize his own vials. After filling the solution inside the vials, Yang Yuankong took away 120 vials. Zhang Tai asked to keep the rest 18 vials. For the 120 vials, Zhang Tai sold them at the price of 4 gold coins for each. Zhang Tai decided to set the price of each vial at 5 gold coins, which was 10% lower than the common LV1 antidote on the market, leaving 20% of gross profit to Yang Yuankong and the other guys. Because medicament were usually very expensive. Most of stores and sales terminals would variate from 5% to 8%. As the first dealer of Zhang Tai, Yang Yuankong could enjoy 20% of the gross profit. This was really too profitable. As the condition for the cooperation between both parties, if they could sell these products successfully, in the future, regardless of the rising sales price of the terminals, Zhang Tai always provide them at least 10,000 vials of medicament at the price of lower than 4 gold coins a vial so as to ensure their investment benefits as the first ones who dared to eat crabs. After taking the 120 vials of medicament, Yang Yuankong became so excited that after bidding a farewell with Zhang Tai, he hurriedly left. Staying in his room, Zhang Tai smirked as he counted the 480 gold coins paid by Yang Yuankong for many times. He was filled with pleasure. This was Zhang Tai's first time making money with his real talent and ability. Previously, although Zhang Tai had manipulated more money than this, he actually didn't make it with his own ability. When the Gregory family compensated 5,000 gold coins for him, they were actually paying for the life of a second lieutenant of the Iron Blood camp of Norman Empire. When in Blapei, although he took the position as an officer in the logistics department and could gain a lot of gold coins per week, that was due to the concern about him from the big figures of the Ironhorn army. Even though that rune ring was still picked up from the battlefield, it was due to good luck. However, today, with his own ability, he made 480 gold coins. Holding the heavy gold coins which weighed over 10 kilograms, Zhang Tai felt very satisfied. After Yang Yuankong left, Zhang Tai also left Zhang Tai Pavilion with some money. Seeing Zhang Tai falling off the 4m high quincuncial piles once again, although standing on the ground steadily, Gu Kaidai, who was responsible for guiding Zhang Tai, frowned her forehead with a serious expression at once. Junior brother Zhang Tai, you seem not concentrated today. As you've made progress very fast during this period, you shouldn't slack off. Yes, senior sister Gu. Feeling embarrassed, Zhang Tai scratched his head as he slightly jumped up from the ground and stood back onto the piles. After practicing it for several days, although Zhang Tai could still not defeat those girls, his movements had become increasingly more flexible. He could stand longer and longer on the piles now. Even when falling off the piles, Zhang Tai could still stand on the ground safe and sound, instead of being that awkward at the beginning. Today, because Zhang Tai was thinking about making money, he became a bit mind-absent on the piles. Although you have great strength on your feet, it was not enough, as you have to feel being both a nail and a spring on the piles. In each second, you should be at the equilibrium point between the nail and the spring. Only when you could fix and move your foot in a split second could you pass the test. Zhang Tai nodded. After concentrating, Zhang Tai performed much better. 2 hours passed very soon. The moment it was finished, after bidding a farewell with Gu Kaidai, Zhang Tai had hurriedly left the training field. Seeing that Zhang Tai was that anxious, Gu Kaidai could only reveal a smile as she shook her head. Even though after 2 hours training, when Zhang Tai left the training field for fundamental movements, it was still 9 a.m. After leaving the training field, Zhang Tai directly came to the hall of the middle castle and queued up before the counter where he handed in money at the beginning. After the front ones handed in the monthly payment, it was finally Zhang Tai's turn. Behind that counter was still those senior scholars who were wearing oversleeves. I want to rent a warehouse. Zhang Tai directly gave his clan plate to a senior scholar. Taking Zhang Tai's clan plate, the old man inserted it into the slot of the machine. After pulling down a drawbar, he looked at the data on the machine before nodding. You have good credit. You can rent some facilities of Hidden Dragon Palace. What sort of warehouse do you want? The area of the warehouse should be above 200 sq meters. It should have good access to water, wind, and items. Additionally, the warehouse should be safe. Besides me, nobody else can enter. The only one that meets your requirements should be the workshop for herbal medicine apprentices in the Hidden Dragon Palace. Each herbal medicine apprentice is equipped with a herbal medicine warehouse which covers 210 sq meters. The warehouse is access to wind, water. Besides, its illumination and temperature are adjustable. The workshop of herbal medicine apprentices? It doesn't sound too bad. Zhang Tai thought inwardly. What about the rate? The rent for each workshop is 15 gold coins a month. You should pay off 1 year's rent before being able to use it. This price was still too high for purely renting a room, however, as it was in the Hidden Dragon Palace, it was still acceptable for Zhang Tai. Well, I want to rent a workshop then. Saying this, Zhang Tai pulled out his purse and counted out 180 gold coins, which were a part of that paid by Yang Yuan Kong and the other guys. After the payment, only 300 gold coins left. Your workshop is in the Poria Cocos Park in Herb Valley. The old man returned the clan plate to Zhang Tai as he gave him a metal plate marked with Poria Cocos. This plate is the only secret key to open the Poria Cocos Park. Take it and register in the administration center of the Herbs Valley, where someone will guide you to the Poria Cocos Park. After taking a serious look at the metal plate marked with Poria Cocos, Zhang Tai found it was a bit similar to his clan plate, as on the back of each plate was graved with some secret metal grains. Holding the secret key, Zhang Tai instantly rushed into Herb Valley. Herb Valley was beside the lower castle. It was not far from the secret knowledge pavilion and was only over 500 m away from the Zhixing department. Herb Valley was in the east while the Zhixing department was in the west with a ridge between them. This was a more tranquil small valley, which was covered with many herbal fields. The moment Zhang Tai entered this region, he had smelt the fragrance of many kinds of herbal medicines. Those independent small parks were scattering in this small valley. On the way, Zhang Tai saw many rooms were named White Peony Park, Licorice Park, Angelica Park, red peony park and ginseng park, etc. Zhang Tai entered the administration center of Herb Valley to register himself. After that, a staff member guided him into Poria Cocos Park. There was a firm iron gate outside the Poria Cocos Park. After inserting the secret key into the slot on the iron gate, Zhang Tai twisted the handle on the iron gate to open it. Poria Cocos Park covered more than 300 sq meters. It was divided into many small rooms, including a lab, lounge room and herbal medicine warehouse. There were some simple tools for processing herbal medicines. Zhang Tai was concerned about the warehouse most. After circling around the warehouse, Zhang Tai found some wooden brackets in the warehouse which almost filled the whole warehouse. He then faintly frowned. I don't need these things, can you have someone move them out of here? These items are used to dry and store various herbal medicines. Each herbal medicine apprentice would use them. The staff explained as he thought Zhang Tai didn't know their purpose. I won't use them. Aren't you a herbal medicine apprentice? The staff asked out of curiosity. Who told you I was a herbal medicine apprentice? Zhang Tai asked. But what do you rent it for? I have money, I want to pickle vegetables here. Zhang Tai smirked. Chapter 310, Preparations. It took him an hour to clean up the warehouse of the Poria Cocos Park. After that, Zhang Tai shut its gate and instantly went to White Dragon Town. Now that he wanted to make that solution, he had to prepare the necessary tools and raw materials. The tools were tranches that were used for fermenting while the raw materials were various fruits and sugars. The White Dragon Town was very populated. Zhang Tai soon found the pottery store where he bought that tranche last time. The pottery store sold various earthenwares, which were the most common items in regular families. They were not delicate, but very simple and durable. Compared to porcelains, these earthenwares were much cheaper. After looking around, Zhang Tai found the items in the store were smaller than those he needed. He then asked the salesman, Buddy, do you have some bigger tranches? Zhang Tai made a gesture with his hands. As he wanted to produce that solution on a large scale, the tranches should also be big enough, each of which should be able to contain over 100 kilograms of solution. However, the tranches in the store were all smaller. The largest one could only hold 40 to 50 kilograms. Larger ones are in the warehouse. Can you show me there? The salesman then glanced over Zhang Tai with a dubious expression. Zhang Tai looked very young and didn't look like making business to survive himself. Given Zhang Tai's figure, he didn't look like an islander who always visited this store. The salesman became a bit curious. Whereas, now that Zhang Tai wanted to visit there, the salesman could only take him there. As there were two salesmen in the store, after telling the other guy that he was leaving for the warehouse with Zhang Tai, that man then guided Zhang Tai there. There were more earthenwares in the warehouse, which were piled up in several layers. After following him into the warehouse, Zhang Tai saw a 1 m high tranche. That's it. After checking the patterns and workmanship, Zhang Tai nodded. Buddy, how much is this tranche? 9 silver coins each. After calculating it inside for a second, Zhang Tai instantly got the answer. The whole warehouse could hold 90 to 100 tranches like this. I want 80 tranches of this kind. Zhang Tai pointed at that tranche as he said. Although his warehouse could hold more such kind of tranches, he had to leave some space for people to move inside. Therefore 80 tranches were proper. How many do you want? The salesman thought that he had heard incorrectly. I want 80 tranches of this kind. Zhang Tai repeated, can you deliver them to my door? Realizing that Zhang Tai was not kidding, the salesman became excited at once as he became instantly enthusiastic about Zhang Tai. After guiding Zhang Tai back to the store, the salesman hurriedly made a cup of water for Zhang Tai. As those tranches are of thin profits, if you want us to deliver them to your door, you need to add some transportation fee. As these items are not valuable, yet were cumbersome, we have to pay a lot to ask for help. How about 9 gold coins in total? Hearing Zhang Tai's words, the salesman became so excited that he hurriedly nodded, it's enough, it's enough. As Hidden Dragon Palace was not far from the White Dragon Town, it would not cost much by transporting them there. As his family was doing such small business before, Zhang Tai knew they were working hard. Therefore, Zhang Tai didn't bargain with him as he directly counted out 9 gold coins and gave them to him. The moment the salesman got the money, he became more enthusiastic. "When do you need them, sir? I will have someone deliver them to you." "How about today?" "No problem, but since few people would buy such huge tranches, we don't have that much in stock. We have to make them in the kiln." "How many days do you need?" "We only need 2 days. "How many do you have now?" "A bit more than 20. After thinking for a short while, Zhang Tai replied, "Okay, you can deliver those inventory to Hidden Dragon Palace first, I will go to buy something else." "I will wait for you in Hidden Dragon Palace." "May I know your surname, sir?" "I'm Zhang Tai. If I'm not there when your goods arrived, just wait for me over there for a while." "No problem." After making the deal, Zhang Tai left the pottery store. Later, Zhang Tai bought a lot of items in White Dragon Town. Therefore, he returned to the Hidden Dragon Palace with 2 carriages behind him, which were used to load his items. Among them, there were various fruits, over 100 kilograms of liquor, several hundred kilograms of honey, several hundred kilograms of brown sugar, more than 10 kitchen knives, 10 chopping boards, huge iron sheet basins, etc. When Zhang Tai returned to the Hidden Dragon Palace with the 2 carriages leisurely, those huge tranches also arrived. Because outsiders were forbidden in, Zhang Tai had to carry these items into the Poria Cocos Park in Herb Valley one by one. After moving all of them into the park, Zhang Tai was still busy as he had to clean up the over 20 huge tranches with water before sterilizing the inside of them with liquor. It was a trifling affair. It took Zhang Tai the whole afternoon to clean up and sterilize those tranches. Zhang Tai then directly went to the fish market in the wharf. After setting free fishes today, Zhang Tai came to the Zhixing department. He firstly chatted with Wei Wu and Zhang Liang and the other friends before asking a great number of girls who had just finished their supper to work for him. Zhang Tai even paid each of them 1 gold coin for their assistance. Of course, this should be deducted from the debt that they owed him. Considering it was a great compensation, all the girls accepted the task. Zhang Tai then brought them to the Poria Cocos Park. At the sight of the fruits and tranches around the park, everybody became dumbfounded. "So many items. What do you want us to do?" Du Yuhan showed the white of her eyes as she said in a tender voice. After that affair when Zhang Tai saved Du Yuhan at the risk of his own life, the girls' impression about Zhang Tai had greatly changed. Many of them started to call him senior brother. Zhang Tai realized that his good personality was finally admitted. Zhang Tai then cast a glance at Du Yuhan, whose attitude towards him had greatly changed. Previously, she was always furious with him, however, since last time when he saved her, her face always blushed in front of him. Additionally, she became more tender. At the moment, watching Du Yuhan's look, Zhang Tai suddenly felt his mummy jumped out of no reason. God bless me. I haven't touched girls in a long time. As a great number of girls were gazing at him, Zhang Tai dared not to lose face this time. Therefore, he put his right hand into a pocket of his trousers in a cool way and started his right hand covering method stealthily. Your job is very simple. Do you see these fruits? Your task today is to clean up 1/3 of those fruits. After that, you should shatter them into pieces and put them into the tranches. That's it? Du Yuhan winked her eyes as she asked in a dubious way. Of course, your senior brother is always kind and generous with great morals. Previously, you must have misunderstood me. You felt that I was mean. Actually, you can make money from your senior brother very easily. That's it. It's much easier than selling 100 packs of seashell oil. Zhang Tai winked his eyes towards Du Yuhan. The girls then cast their whites of eyes to Zhang Tai at the same time. Seeing Zhang Tai have already prepared all the tools, they then started to work. This job was really very easy. Under Zhang Tai's guidance on one side, those girls then started to work seriously. Having been busy since morning, Zhang Tai suddenly remembered that he had not eaten. His stomach started to coo. Therefore, Zhang Tai casually picked up a banana and started to eat. Senior brother, do you believe that each girl would know your Chinese zodiac at the sight of you? Said Xu Lianying, who was washing fruits, rolled her eyes when she saw Zhang Tai eating a banana. Zhang Tai became stunned as he soon engulfed that banana. That's impossible, I don't believe. Tell me my Chinese zodiac sign then. Sisters, tell him what our senior brother's Chinese zodiac is. Xu Lianying shouted loudly, I count 1, 2, 3, and let's tell him in unison. Fine. 1, 2, 3, sisters, tell him what is his Chinese zodiac. Monkey. After shouting the answer out loudly in unison, the girls then exchanged glances with each other as they could stand to burst out laugh loudly at the same time. Zhang Tai looked at his banana as he instantly realized that he was set up. He then burst into laughter too. At the beginning, Zhang Tai said all the girls' Chinese zodiac was spinning top. He had not imagined that they finally asked for his compensation. Girls were really born to be narrow-minded. It's not bad. If I'm a monkey, then I'm definitely the monkey king. I can have over 10 female monkeys and let so many female monkeys pick up fruits and wash fruits for me every day. If any female monkey performs well, I will feed her bananas. Zhang Tai replied with a big smile. Pa. Soon after, Zhang Tai said that more than 10 fruits were thrown towards him from all directions. Zhang Tai rapidly collected them in the air and hugged them all. Look, the moment you heard that I would feed you bananas, you've already become so excited. Don't be that anxious for being specially favored by me. Zhang Tai flirted with them all again. Seeing the girls who were shattering fruits pretending to throw kitchen knives towards him, Zhang Tai pretended to be scared and immediately escaped away. After exchanging glances with each other, the girls then revealed smiles once again. In less than 3 hours, the girls had cleaned and shattered all the fruits, put them into the tranches, added sugar, water and honey. In the later 2 days, the girls worked 2 hours for Zhang Tai at each night after supper so as to deduct 1 gold coin's debt. In this way, they worked 3 days for Zhang Tai. After 3 days, all the 80 huge tranches were filled. Senior brother, what are you fermenting so many enzymes for? Not until the 3rd day after they finished work did Li Yuro ask Zhang Tai out of curiosity. Enzymes? You mean I'm fermenting enzymes? Being faintly shocked, Zhang Tai stared at Li Yuro as he had heard this word for the first time. Yes, I always fermented enzyme at home when I was young. I remember that my grandma told me that if one eats enzymes, one would not have health problems. It's easy to make enzyme, however, this item isn't worth much money. Ho ho, it's a secret. You will know about it in the future. Zhang Tai said in a mysterious way. Humph, narrow-minded. Li Yuro then pouted her peach-like mouth. As you've helped your senior brother for 3 days, your senior brother will send each of you a small gift. Zhang Tai then took out those vials that had been filled with that special solution. What's this? The girls took his gift as they started to look it around. This thing is as effective as a level 1 antidote. Additionally, it could replenish your energy. Take it and go play. Arg! The girls exclaimed. Even with the effect that it equaled to that of a level 1 antidote, this thing would worth no less than 5 gold coins. They had not imagined that Zhang Tai could be that generous. Well, don't be that moved with watery eyes. If you really want to thank me, you can marry me. If we are a family, your senior brother would even clear off your debts. Zhang Tai made a grimace. After showing the whites of their eyes, the girls then left. Because it was too late, Zhang Tai didn't come back to the Poria Cocos Park until he sent the girls into the Zhixing department. After that, Zhang Tai closed the gate of the Poria Cocos Park before going to the warehouse again. Facing the 80 huge tranches, Zhang Tai was filled with a sense of achievement. Later, Zhang Tai took some essential energy Reiki yeast out of castle of black iron and added them into the tranches. The moment he added the essential energy Reiki yeast into the tranches, the items in the tranches had become different from that before. With the exception of Zhang Tai, nobody knew that the items in the tranches had become different. After doing all this, Zhang Tai took 2 huge tranches of well-fermented special solution out of the lab and castle of black iron and exchanged them with another 2 huge tranches in the warehouse which had just been fermented. By then, he finished all the preparations. The 80 huge tranches of solution in the warehouse weighed almost 12 tons in total. If Yang Yuankong's sales could stimulate its demand, 2 months later, the value of the 12 tons of special solution would at least equal to that of 12 tons of LV1 antidote. It could definitely shock a great number of people if he told it to others. How come such precious detoxification solution could be counted by tons? Perhaps I should go to the Library of Breaking Heavens department to look up the books about enzyme. I want to figure out the reason why such mysterious solution is so marvelous. Zhang Tai mumbled. Feeling very nice, Zhang Tai then left the Poria Cocos Park. On the way back to his residence, Zhang Tai encountered a woman in Herb Valley who had love affairs with him for the rest of his life.